Welcome to Softcore History.
Hello and welcome back to Softcore History. It's a Jake Goldman episode, a Jake Goldman joint. And I'm joined by my podcast co-hosts, Dan Regester and Rob Fox. What's up, boys?
Don't scare off the audience this fast.
He's trying to lower expectations. But before we just rip on Jake for a while, we have a big announcement. If you want to get into that, might as well do it at the top of the episode.
There's a tornado?
Yeah, we are broadcasting live during a tornado. You're welcome.
Yeah,
We're
do this.
braver than the troops, yes.
We love the content.
Yeah, I've always said that, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, we dodge metaphorical bullets.
Yeah.
You know, like, cancel culture.
A lot.
We dodge that.
Yes, 100%.
That's the only bullet, but it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we dance around those.
It's easier to dodge physical things, and bullets are physical.
Yeah, like, you can't dodge a bullet you can't see coming.
Right.
I mean, I guess we could be more polite.
We fight unknown unknowns. We're fighting ghosts.
But since we are in the business of dodging cancel culture, you might want to check out the other thing you're about to announce.
Well, I was going to let Dan announce it, but I can announce it.
No, Dan, do it.
We are now charging you for our content.
This is the worst way to lead off that announcement, but
I
yes.
appreciate
Well,
it.
obviously not this. You're getting this for free. You're still getting one free episode a week every Monday. Monday night, video on Tuesday on the Drinking Bros History channel. But yeah, no, we are going to put out some more content, some things we're going to test out, some trials. We did a game show with Coop and Joel. That's on our Patreon right now.
It's not testing out trials. First of all, the game show was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
Worked out.
The mailbag, which we need to rename. I'm trying to think of names. The only thing I can come up with is Pony Satchel.
Yeah, so we got two things on the Patreon currently. Both are worth your time.
I think we're going to do
Both worth
The carrier pigeon?
$5.
Yeah, the carrier, something like that.
Yeah.
$5 a month gets you lots of different content.
You're gonna get free content, or you're gonna get extra content every week. We're not gonna just not do anything with the Patreon. We're gonna get, like I said, not test things, but we're gonna get weird with it. We're gonna do some crazy shit. on Patreon.
We've recorded 2 sketches. There's going to be a sketch week. Not every month, but there's going to be sketches every couple of weeks. We've recorded 2 of those already. We're doing a movie watch along. I think we're going to record it later this week or early next week.
Probably next week, yeah.
We've already done sketches that we're starting to edit right now. Mm-hmm. We have some cool stuff here.
Yeah, but there's stuff live right now on there.
2 episodes live. And yeah, the stuff to watch. I think we're going to do The Patriot for our first movie watch along.
Yeah, hopefully we can grab a friend of the show who has not seen.
Jared Borslow.
Jared Borslow has not seen The Patriot somehow.
Yeah, so
really bizarre.
we need to make him watch it.
Yeah, it'll be a historic movie watch along, like history-based movies, all blah, blah, blah.
For sure. So yeah, give us a look-see on the Patreon. Where can they find that, Dan?
Patreon.com/softcore.
/softcore.
Or whatever.
Shit, it
/softcore
looks
history.
gross outside.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Rob's over here like, I'm from the Midwest. I know a tornado when I see it. And I'm like, I'm just afraid of the weather because I'm a liberal cuck.
Well,
so
I'm going to die doing what I love.
that's right.
Stumbling over my words.
Yeah. Drinking for me.
Yeah. The podcast you're also on just happens to be what you're doing. while you're
I'm
drinking.
just here.
Yeah. I swear to God, I'm going to see like my car fly away soon. Anyway.
My rental is just going to be up in the sky.
Yeah, Dan.
The windows will shatter before you see it. It'll be fine.
Thanks for the encouragement. I
One
appreciate
time
that.
I was driving through a tornado warning storm from between Austin to Houston, and I was with my wife. My wife's from Texas. Even though she's from Dallas, which is kind of tornado country, but she's not really used to tornadoes. And we were driving, and it was really scary. It was at night. And you can't see a fucking tornado coming at night, but there would just be these loud thunderclaps and
It's hailing now.
Bright lightning strikes. Yeah, it's hailing. My car's gonna be fucked. Ooh. So we were driving, and she was getting more and more worried. We had the dog in the car, and that we didn't have a kid yet, so the dog was her baby. And she was like, "But and I was telling her it's fine. There's always tornado warnings and whatever. It doesn't. There's usually never a tornado. Doesn't happen as often as the warnings do. And it just the weather kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I tried to tell her the more it's raining, kind of the less that means a tornado's coming. Hail's a bad sign.
Yeah, what's sick about this hail is the insurance I have on the rental does not cover windshield cracks.
Haha.
Joke's on me, guys.
Yeah. You got in an accident, and it's going to cost you even more money than it already does.
Yep.
Yeah. But she was like, but the car, most tornadoes aren't strong enough to pick up cars, right? And probably because I knew a tornado wasn't coming, I should have just been yeah, babe, it's fine. Like, yeah, the tornado's not going to hit with the car. But since I knew we were probably okay, I decided to fuck with her. And I was like, well, and this is the truth, but I shouldn't have said it. And I was like, well, yeah, I probably won't pick up the car, but that's not what you got to worry about. What you got to worry about is a tree branch or a rock getting hucked at you 200 miles an hour and ripping through your skull.
It's true.
And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, there'll be like a brick laying on the ground and the tornado will pick it up and throw it at you 200 miles an hour. That's what kills you.
Yeah.
And then
It's worse than Antifa.
within...
The strongest Antifa.
Yeah, it is. It's God's Antifa. Within 2 minutes of that, there was a massive lightning bolt and thunderclap, and she started weeping in the car. And I was just,
Oh, no.
I was like,
Yeah,
I'm an
but you
asshole.
know the risk you run when you're a storm chaser.
Yeah, which I am.
Very much so. That's what I do on the weekends. Go up to Oklahoma. Just kind of wait.
Just sit around.
Yeah.
So, something will come eventually.
You'll get one or two.
Got an AM radio.
Oh, now all the weather stopped. Does that mean the tornado's here?
Yeah, that means we're in the eye of the storm.
Oh,
That's
cool.
a hurricane.
Oh, upgrade. All right, sick. We get a couple days off.
Hurricane. If you get killed by a hurricane, I don't feel bad for you. 'Cause
Yeah.
you know it's coming.
It is the slowest approaching
Right.
natural disaster.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that you could probably apologize to right now in Houston and New Orleans. But yeah,
No. Why would I do
you-
that?
That entire island that got wiped out like last year or whatever.
You know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
yeah. If you're Puerto Rican,
Just
it's on
move.
you.
Yeah.
Just move to somewhere where a hurricane isn't.
I mean,
The
how have
Sharks figured it out.
how have you not already?
okay. The Sharks figured it out is hilarious because Sharks have so much more. They don't need roads to move in the ocean.
Right, but
No,
by
I
shark,
meant the Puerto Rican gang, the Sharks from West Side Story.
and
Oh yes, of course. Okay, right.
he
I
actually
should know.
meant Jake Paul because Jake Paul lives in Puerto Rico,
I think he lives on the west side of the island.
and he got out. He made it out safe.
Good for him. Well, enough about Jake Paul. Enough about Sharks. And now enough about current weather events because we know how much you hate them. Today, we're going to talk about an American doctor, in quotes, John Romulus Brinkley, who I will now refer to as JR for short. We will be covering a lot of interesting subplots within the narrative that is J.R. Brinkley's bizarre rise to substantial wealth, including, but not limited to, diploma mills, xenotransplantation, Mexican border blaster radio stations.
What's xenotransplantation?
I don't want to tell you yet
Okay.
because it's
What's the time frame of this, by the way?
late. Like he was born 1885, he dies 1946.
Okay.
Or 2. Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
he's
it's,
rolling pre-World War II mostly?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
he dies like right as World War II started.
Okay.
Mexican border blaster radio stations, stolen elections, and of course healthcare regulation. So just to kick things off,
Stop the steal.
he has a very legitimate argument for a Stop the Steal rally, and we'll get to it later. Brinkley was born to John Richard Brinkley, a poor mountain man who
God, all of these people sound like serial killers. I thought this was going to be about a serial killer.
Yeah, kind of disappointed it's not about a serial killer.
he's got a body count.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's in a weird way. You could call him a
Yeah.
serial killer.
Yeah.
but we'll explain more later. Because
Being a serial killer is like it's like pornography, you know? I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
you probably wouldn't call him a serial killer.
Exactly. Like there's certain things that are porn.
The best part about that, by the way, the law that is like pornography is kind of defined as like
Yeah.
as judged basis.
Yeah.
Like there's no like because I believe the Supreme Court had to go down into a basement and watch pornography together, and then one of the people was so blind someone had to describe the porn to that judge.
Oh my God.
But right,
All
but
I
like
wanna
Rob
do-
actually has squirrel traps in his backyard, and he murders dozens of squirrels a week. And I wouldn't necessarily call you a serial killer, but you are.
Right. So this is a fun story. A little aside I could tell real quick. One of our former coworkers one time came up to me with his phone and was like, dude, check out this video me and my bro made over the weekend. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he looked at it, and it was just him and his buddy taking a blow dart gun. And it was like this highlight reel of them killing grackles with the blow dart gun.
I think I know who this
That
was.
was a grackle code word for homeless man.
No, it's a bird. For those who don't know, it's
the worst bird in
like
Austin.
it's like half. It's like if a seagull and a crow had a baby.
So you're just describing a homeless man.
Yeah, I mean, homeless people are seagulls basically, or seagulls are homeless people. It's the same difference. But yeah, they were just. Like dozens of grackles.
The grackle makes the worst noise. It's just like, it's like one split second of the AOL dial-up modem. Like that.
And they'll pop on, they will land on your plate if you're eating outside and take your French fry and fucking leave.
They're, for those that don't know, they're
They'll
actually
spit in your face before they do that.
Yeah.
They will. They will also, they literally hire people in Austin to go around with boards and smack them by trees to get them to go away.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, they're
But-
like Oklahoma State Cowboy fans. Just banging against the fucking...
Yes, just like that. They do that.
Yeah.
It's insane. Anyway, Brinkley was born to John Richard Brinkley, who was a poor mountain man who practiced medicine in North Carolina.
No such thing as a rich mountain man.
It's unfairly
John
true.
Denver, bitch.
He wasn't from the mountains.
Well, the mountain took him back.
Yeah. He also served as a medic for the Confederate States Army during the American Civil War. This
All
is
right.
Canceled.
Well, we
Canceled.
Can,
So we
we can
can-
stop talking about it now.
Canceled.
Well, this is his dad. So we're going to explain how
Canceled.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Brinkley's dad had a lot of marriages. His first marriage was actually annulled because he was underage. He was just ready to be married. So
he married someone much older than him?
I don't know how much older he was, but after his dad reached adulthood, he married 4 more times and outlived each of his young wives. So while I'm guessing that's probably pretty common in the latter half of the 19th century to outlive your wife, all of your younger wives dying in short order is still kind of a suspicious look.
Were they giving birth?
They were.
They were?
They weren't dying giving birth, but
okay.
some of them gave birth.
Did
yes.
they exist in the 1800s?
Did they? What do you mean?
Were they alive?
Yeah, this is all before.
Right. So
be-
like every day is...
Love is battlefield.
It's a present.
Right.
Every
yeah.
day is a present.
And also, a woman's death in the 1800s could, honestly, you could probably chalk it up to, like, the sheriff comes around and he's like, what happened? And you can just be like, women.
The vapors.
Women. Yeah.
It's like the shed is just covered
Yeah.
in blood. It's like, it was her period.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah.
I came out of her vagina. I am a baby.
So,
Oh, the angel or whatever.
Yes.
I'm a baby.
I was born a grown man.
It's a miracle.
Sorry, this woman's torn in half.
Start praying.
In 1870, Brinkley's father, at the age of 42, married his last wife, Sarah T. Mingus. Later, the 24-year-old...
Names.
Yeah. Later, Mingus's niece, Sarah Candace Burnett, this gets very confusing quick, moves in with Brinkley's dad and Sarah T. Mingus. So Sarah T. Mingus, the aunt of Sarah Candace Burnett, who moves in with them.
Sensing a Woody Allen situation brewing.
Oh, yeah, they started discerning the two. The family called Brinkley's wife Sally to differentiate the two Sarahs, and the niece Sarah quickly gave birth out of wedlock
Let's
to.
call the pretty one Sarah.
Let's call her by her name.
Yeah.
and we'll call my wife Sally.
Yeah. You're Sally now.
Yeah,
You're Sarah. Yeah.
you're new
Sally.
Sarah.
Yeah.
You're new Sarah. Yeah, that's I think what happened because the niece, a couple months later, gives birth to. Well, 9 months later, gives birth to our story's main character, John Romulus Brinkley, in the town of Beta, North Carolina.
But yeah, well, that's weird, but this guy's such an alpha. Well,
Well, yeah.
I mean, his dad's like super alpha.
His dad's just putting up franchises.
Yeah. But he lives in Beta.
Yeah, I know. What the
weird.
dramatic irony of it.
I know. It's really funny.
Shut up. Yeah, so she named our main character John Romulus after his father, and obviously the mythical twin suckled by wolves that
Now,
started.
Look, this is what I like about the past. These people are barely literate, if not totally illiterate. They live in a place where they only see 5 other people. They drink alcohol distilled from like bark and rotten potatoes. If you saw them, you wouldn't even think they were homeless. Like today, like if you saw, you would think they were like an animal. Like
Yeah, they were feral. They're
some
feral
sort
people,
of
yes.
missing link human.
They live behind my apartment complex in the woods. They have their own society. Not many people speak to them. They don't approach anyone
But those
else.
people are all still literate.
They all-
technically, they definitely are. Like this, America's literacy rate's like 99%. Like they can already, like these people can't do anything. They know their skill set is like bananas low. in
It's
terms of
making
education.
bark moonshine.
And they still know who Romulus
They know
is?
who Romulus is.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you went up to, and I hate to bring them up again, the people that I just bought a Subway sandwich from,
No, that's a character on the show. That's Subway over there. We're gonna have him come over one day.
Yeah, let's
Be like, you want to be on a show?
like Kingsman Golden Circle.
We're doing a watch along.
They'd be like, "Oh shit, I thought the Pope or something made it." They're like, even if they know what the Pope is,
They don't know. They for sure don't know what a pope is.
yeah, like it's these people had like just the weirdest knowledge set.
Yeah, it's bananas. But he was named John Romulus after Romulus of Rome.
Do you think it's because some sort of dog was breastfeeding him at some point?
Sure, maybe.
Go ahead and elaborate that.
Yeah,
You guys don't understand that reference?
sure. Her boobs didn't work, and she found a
Romulus and Remus were raised by wolves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have no idea what Romulus is.
I literally just said the one that suckled from the teat.
Oh.
Remus and Romulus were the two brothers, and Romulus founded Rome at the Palatine Hill.
So, I don't know
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was raised by a wolf, suckled at her teeth.
Yeah,
There's a famous picture of it.
The only Romulus I care for is the one trying to fuck Jerry.
Roman.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sarah Burnett dies when our main character JR is 5. He moves in with Aunt Sally and his father again, and they move to Tuckasegee. I don't know, someplace in North Carolina.
No, you got this.
Yeah. Then about 5 years later, JR's dad dies, and then he
R.I.P.
isn't going to stay with his not mom.
Right.
So
R.I.P. to a king.
yeah, right. He gets sent to a one-room log cabin school in the North Carolina area he's in, and it's held like during the winter, so it's not like a full school kind of. It's kind of a weird like boarding winter school kind of thing.
You're just going to go live with this lady and 10 other kids. She's going to teach you how to read, and you're going to chop wood and shit.
Yeah, like
She might molest you.
Right.
Most
Who
likely
knows?
molest you.
Yeah.
something like that.
Doesn't have a husband.
So
She's been lonely
There's like
all
a
these
couple.
years.
There is a husband, and you're really screwed.
Yeah.
They're all going to do stuff.
To you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his tormentor was a woman named Sally Margaret White.
All these Sallys.
Yeah, a lot.
I've never met a Sally I liked.
Sally Margaret White is the daughter of a well-off school board member, and Sally delights in tormenting the young JR.
School board. Who's on this school board?
I don't understand the details of it either.
It's a one-room cabin with a multi-person board.
Yeah, it's very strange. You don't know the resources it takes to give an idiot education.
Apparently.
You need at least one room and at least more than one person on a board. All right?
How
That's
else
what
are
it
you gonna
takes.
reach quorum, you know?
Don't teach my boy the letter X.
Yeah, anyway.
It's too much like alcohol.
Brinkley finished his studies at 16 and began to work carrying mail around local towns, and he learned how to use a telegraph. But one thing JR wished, however, was more than anything, he wanted to become a doctor. So as a telegrapher, JR goes to New York City to work for Western Union, and after he moved to New Jersey to work at a couple different railway companies, he returns home in 1906 to his Aunt Sally after hearing that she was unwell, and then she dies in 1906. So all of this kid's family is basically gone by the time he's 21. He has no
Typical.
earthly attachments at this point, or nothing holding him back. So after that, he was comforted by the lady that used to fuck with them all the time in school, Sally Wyke. They get married in a couple months.
Yeah, she
after
was
that.
banging that child.
Yeah, so Sally...
This is a Mary Kay Letourneau situation.
This is a Miss Havisham Pip situation.
No, Sally is only a year older. She was a kid at the school.
So Pip and who's the fucking chick he's always chasing the entire
one
time?
breaking the rabbit next.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Forgot about that. Anyway, so they married on January 27, 1907, like shortly after the death of his aunt in Sylvia, North Carolina. With all of his parents out of the picture and the burning desire to become a doctor still just there, he decided to go ahead and skip all of the medical school bullshit and just become a doctor. Because you could, I guess, if no one was checking in on it.
Doesn't sound like a burning desire to become a doctor. It feels like a burning desire to be called a doctor.
What's the difference, I ask you? In 1907, what's the difference? Because we're about to find out quite a bit of like how far medicine has come, but also how far medical regulation has come.
So what's hilarious about that, by the way, so this guy just declares himself a doctor in what, like 1907?
1907, yes.
So my grandfather, Robert Edward Fox Sr., became a doctor right before World War II. So, like, he became a doctor only like 30 years after this guy was
So
able
I'm going to question his credentials.
as well, you should.
Yeah. You should question your doctor's credentials always.
I'm going to get a second opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about questioning your doctor's credentials, though, is it's like being like, like it's like NASA, like being like, the sun is this far away from Earth. And you're like, hey, show me that equation. Yeah, come on. I want to see that equation. And
I just want to see a degree.
Yeah, then they show you the equation, and like, you don't know what it, you don't know. You don't know what it
Bullshit.
means. You don't know what it
bullshit.
means.
I don't
You're just
understand
like,
this.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to see it.
Yeah.
You don't know what it means.
No.
Exactly. Where I lie about having a film degree from UCF, these people have other human beings' lives in their hands.
We also had a coworker that said he had graduated from a school at Grand X who never actually finished school. No one ever checked.
Name names.
No.
You
I don't know if he finished his
You don't
degree.
have to finish school. No one ever asked for your degree or your
Wait,
transcript.
can you tell me the school?
Ball State.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that limits things significantly.
Yeah. There's two people it could be. But anyway, so he...
And it's not the one Ric Flair hit on.
Okay, it narrows it down to one person. Anyway, JR and his wife Sally decide to go with the whole I'm a doctor now thing, and they start traveling around posing as Quaker doctors and giving rural towns like the old medicine snake show, like snake oil show.
This is the literal snake oil era.
It is, and this is how this story
Yeah.
becomes a story.
Yeah,
because
this is
There's traveling around like Christopher Waltz and Django with
Yes.
a giant tooth on the fucking wagon.
exactly like that. So
and
they're
a good way to put this too, not a better way. A good way to put this too is this is around the time, probably a little after, maybe right around the same time of when A Music Man is set. If you know that musical where the guy just like goes town to town scamming towns into buying band equipment. And he's like, say that, people. I'll get you going. I'll make your town. I'll put your town on the map. You got to get a band. No, that's what Monorail's based on. Like,
Oh, okay.
Monorail's based on the Music Man.
I know Monorail more.
That's based on the Music Man.
okay.
And,
Great
and he-
writing in Monorail.
Yeah. And it's just like, hey, like it's just scammers would go town to town selling snake oil if they're medical or.
And it's amazing. Like the internet has stopped so many of these kind of scams and created so many new ones now. But it's interesting to see how prevalent it was at the time. So like this is also the time where homeopathy is getting really big.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand like what homeopathic treatment is, it's basically taking a very active ingredient and making it so inactive it's essentially not there anymore.
So this was the origin of boss ass bitches.
Yes, MLM sweeties and mommies doing work mom, boss mom stuff. That's the birth of this. Starts here.
You
basically.
have my attention.
Okay. Well, they're chucking during this time what's known as patent medicine, which will get more of your attention because do you know what a patent medicine is, Dan?
Is it medication that has been patented?
No. You would think that, and it sounds good, but it's not. It's basically snake oil. It's any medicine with a proprietary blend that's not specified of ingredients. So what does that sound like, Dan?
This sounds like supplements.
It does. We're in the supplement game, Dan. John R. Brinkley.
Sounds like I went to Total Nutrition, and they gave me something in a plastic bag that was unlabeled, white powder.
It's going to get you fucking swole, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's what you need to worry about. Your male virility. Your manly vigor.
They're going to come up with some name that you shorten it like an acronym, like SARMs.
Yes, SARMs. Very real. Very not good
Sounds
for you.
cool.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's not steroids, it's SARMs. Anyway, Brinkley's next move was to Knoxville, Tennessee, where he played right-hand man helping hawk virility tonics with a man named Dr.
So
Burke.
he's selling turn-of-the-century boner pills.
Yeah, and it gets a lot weirder from there.
Sick. By the way, when you're talking about girl boss or mom boss or whatever the fuck, should we call like a 14-year-old who has a kid like a dad boy? It's just like a boy dad, but he's a boy too.
I'm not a boy, not a dad. I'm not a
yet.
girl. Yeah, I'm trying. There's a joke there.
Joke. It's fine. Let's move on from it.
After this stint in Knoxville, Brinkley settled
Give
with
him
his
another
wife.
chance. Rob, run it
I got
back.
nothing behind that.
Try it
Nothing
one more
behind that. It wasn't good.
And now it's sunny outside, so we'll continue. After the
What if we died? It's so sunny outside. What if a tornado actually just ripped through us and this is heavens outside and they're waiting for us to finish the show? You're obviously not invited, but me and Dan go.
Yeah, clearly you're in hell.
Yeah.
Wait, in heaven, they're waiting for you guys to finish my episode,
Yeah.
and I can't do it?
Yeah.
Do you get my laptop?
Well, why would I need it? Heaven,
I'm
I
just
would presume,
floating.
has an Apple store.
But you won't have my doc.
No, it'll be wait to the episode.
It's just kind of programmed into our heads.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's how God works, huh? Anyway, Brinkley leaves
He's all
Knoxville and settles in with his wife in Chicago, where they celebrate the birth of his first daughter. The new father enrolls at Bennett Medical College, and while one would hope that the birth of his daughter meant that he was getting on the straight and narrow and trying to go legit in the medical world, we wouldn't have an episode on this guy if that was the case.
right. And I got to tell you, that the having a kid stuff, it really only keeps you going for like 3-4 weeks before you just slide back into being a piece of shit.
Go on to our Patreon to find out more about that.
Yeah.
It's like watching a Jocko motivation video. Same amount of motivation and just...
I'm actually not familiar.
Yeah, like
but-
you see that kid and you're like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it, man. This is it. It's different now. I got this thing. But then like 3 weeks later, you're not a marathon runner.
Yeah.
it's just not in you.
Well, in the metaphorical 3 weeks later, we find out that Bennett Medical is an unaccredited school with questionable curriculum focused on eclectic medicine. Eclectic medicine is a combination of herbal, physical, and pseudoscientific
That's
studies.
not the descriptor you want for medicine.
Eclectic?
Yeah.
No, that's for someone's weird house.
So are you just...
That's someone's taste in
that's your-
music.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're just describing Austin University right now.
Yup. Pretty much. So basically, you're treating patients and not pathology. So you're not trying to find out what's wrong with them. It's like, oh, this helped for a little bit. That's the cure. Here you go.
Everyone wants a doctor who only treats the symptoms.
Yeah. Right. That's like,
Just stop my symptoms. That'll be fine.
yeah. And I mean, honestly, that's what most people wanted back then, though. That's why
It's
homeopathy.
honestly still what probably most people want now.
Yeah, truly. So basically, if it works for you, that's medicine. That's basically the whole concept of it.
Right.
So that a lot of studying of like ancient herbs and things like that.
Medicine is whatever works.
Yeah. So Brinkley worked for Western Union as a telegrapher at night and attended classes during the day, while debts mounted from tuition, the cost of raising a family, and from Sally's self-centered whims, according to... He commissioned his own biography at one point.
Oh, so he got into massive debt because of a woman named Sally. I'm familiar with this.
Are you?
It happened to you?
Sally Mae, baby.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yep.
At school, Brinkley was introduced to the study of glandular extracts and their effects on the human system. He determined that this new field would help move his career forward, and boy, did it. But before we get to that, after 2 years of studies and even deeper debts, Brinkley doubled his summer workload by taking 2 shifts at Western Union, but came home one day to find his wife and daughter gone. Sally filed for divorce and child support. But after 2 months of payments, Brinkley kidnapped his daughter and fled to Canada.
They didn't have Amber Alerts back then. Huh?
They did not.
They didn't have the Mann Act either, I don't think.
No, you could do whatever you wanted back then.
Yeah, you
What
could-
even is a kidnapping back then?
Right. They couldn't obtain extradition from Canada, so she dismissed the suit. And Brinkley returned to Chicago with the child, and they got back together.
Oh,
In 1911, before
it's just called a tiff.
that was just a spat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little tiff.
In 1911, before
Me and my
Brinkley,
wife did all the time, to be honest.
you kidnap Rory and just drive to Canada?
Yeah.
Or I guess Mexico for here.
Yeah, either one. It's fine. I'm like, I'll kill you, you bitch. Don't ever come near me again. And she's like, well, don't take the baby. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. And I'll,
And you guys make out.
I come back like a week later. Yeah, this sex is great. Honestly, it's all role playing. It's like a month-long role
It's just a very long role play where you
Keeps things
kidnap your child.
spicy.
Keep-
Yeah.
does. It
Loveless
keeps things
marriage.
spicy,
What do you think that what was it? Lindbergh baby? Lindbergh baby?
Lindbergh baby.
Yeah, that was just a
I think the Hindenburg baby's a little different.
Yeah.
that baby was on fire. Anyway, in 1911, before Brinkley was finished with his third year of study, Sally left him again and bore him another daughter.
In that order?
Somehow, yeah. Brinkley left Chicago and his unpaid tuition bills to return to North Carolina and join his family. There he began working as an undergraduate physician. He failed to establish himself, though, and he moved his family around to different towns in Florida and North Carolina.
This is
packing
the
up.
America that we need to have again.
Yeah, just like,
You
I
just
didn't make it
go
in this
to-
city.
Yeah,
go to
you
this
just
one.
Go to another town.
New person.
No one knows you.
I have debts.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm out.
So he was like, man, I'm still not being successful. So in 1912, he left his family to try and regain the thread of his education.
I agree.
They
with
were holding
him
him
that
back.
I agree with him that his family has always been the, kind of weight around
The
his
anchor,
ankle.
yeah.
So this time he goes to St. Louis, Missouri.
Hell yeah! You can find me in St. Louis. I'm all about this guy now.
Yeah. He was unable to pay Bennett Medical College the tuition he owed them, so they refused to forward his scholastic records. So they aren't even sending his eclectic medicine scholastic records anywhere.
Right.
So he's trying to apply to another medical school. So
Do you know which one?
I will. Yeah. It's he basically. Oh, which ones he was trying to apply to?
Yeah.
No, I don't. But he quits and decides he's going to buy a certificate from a shady diploma mill known as the Kansas City Eclectic Medical University. So he just buys a diploma.
I'm glad that eclectic medicine is just kind of around. Like it's a nationwide thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what kind of a practitioner are you? Eclectic.
That'll get you that. If you have an eclectic medical degree at this time, you can practice medicine legally in 8 states.
Sick. You're an eclectologist.
Do you have the
Yeah.
8 states?
I don't.
Sounds like Missouri and Illinois are two of them.
Missouri, Illinois,
I
believe
believe Kansas probably. if it's in
Kansas.
KC.
Kansas is one.
North Carolina.
Texas is one. Basically, like Tornado Alley and
Sure.
Midwest, and then I think North Carolina.
When you're
is one
pulling
as
a
well.
2x4 out of someone, you need eclectic knowledge.
That's right. So they have their third daughter, and the family of 5 immediately moved to New York City after he buys that degree, and shortly thereafter, again back to Chicago. At this point, Sally's like, "You need to fucking stop. Like, you're not making enough money doing this fake doctor shit."
Also, good. This is just so much moving. These are like 3-day train rides or some wild shit. Like, fuck that.
Yeah. So eventually, Sally's like, "Fuck this. I'm moving back to North Carolina."
Yeah.
She goes to Chicago, and
So much moving.
so he's like, "I gotta still be close to the family." So he moves to Greenville, South Carolina, with a man named James E. Crawford, who uses the alias J.W. Burks. The two open up their shop called the Greenville Electromedic Doctors. They put electricity in the name because that was like a hot thing to put in
let's
names.
sound high tech.
Yeah. Can you imagine having the word electric means you're high tech?
It's very steampunk.
Yeah.
These are steampunk doctors.
And so they base all their shit around male virility and manly vigor.
So they get back to the boner pills.
It's supplements always come down to
Shock your
you're
penis to
not enough of a man,
Right.
And you're losing it.
Yeah, back to being an alpha
This
from
is-
a beta city.
Yeah, this is low T 101. So one of the things they did was inject colored water into their patients at $25 a shot, which would be $700 today. And they would tell them that it was electric medicine from Germany.
So that's like getting an IV today. Like you go to one of those IV spots and like, dude, it's got stem cells in it. It's got fucking.
I wish it had
all
stem
the
cells in it,
vitamins and
Right? I would
shit.
definitely go if it had some.
I would
Yes.
be getting an enema from. Like I would just be like,
So to put the stem cells up
It's
my
just
butt.
B vitamins.
Yeah. So
it's great to prevent a hangover. Like I did it before my wedding, but like, yeah, it's not gonna.
Yeah, this is
not
why
gonna make
you
your
have
dick
to
big.
have a friend that knows how to throw in an IV.
Yeah.
And then you just do it at home.
So they obviously are running a scam. They skip a bunch of bills, don't pay a bunch of people. I think they have 30 to 40 local merchants with unpaid checks. They end up bouncing and going to Memphis. In Memphis, Brinkley meets 21-year-old Minerva Talitha Minnie Jones,
Well,
a friend of Crawford's, his co-founder of this fraud business.
because his boner pills are working.
Just like that, after a 4-day courtship, they get married.
Yeah.
And he's still married to
Because
Sally.
he's virile.
Yeah.
He's laying some good
That's
pipe.
the other thing too. You can just go to another town, marry another woman.
No, yeah.
No
they,
way to check.
They don't have interstate record keeping.
No
yeah.
way to check.
Whole
So,
other family you're raising.
so this is the honeymoon they go on after the 4 days of getting to know each other. They go to Kansas City, Denver, Pocatello, and Knoxville. Brinkley was arrested in Knoxville and extradited back to Greenville, where he was put in jail for practicing medicine without a license and for writing bad checks. But instead of taking this on himself, Brinkley ratted out his partner. He told the sheriff it was all Crawford's fault, and he gave information enough for them to get him. They settle all this shit out. Basically, you know, they get out. Minnie's dad, his new father-in-law, kind of bails him out for the value of what would be $5,800 now. But he's like, you know, you got to figure out how to pay this stuff off. At this time, his ex-wife or his
Oh, so Minnie's dad. Does Minnie's dad know that he has another wife?
No one does.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is where Sally Brinkley comes back and informs Minnie, like, hey, we're not divorced. He's a bigamist.
Right.
Like,
Also very trusting of the dad, a man who has moved several cities for unpaid debts.
Yeah.
Lending him $5,800.
Just a bonehead move. It's like, well, he's a doctor. You can pay for it.
You know, fool me once. Fool me 35 times.
So they move around a bunch. Eventually, he joins the Army Reserve Medical Corps to just start making some money because I guess the Army is like, whatever kind of doctor you
Fuck
are,
our
we need him.
troops,
Yeah.
Wait, what is this pre-World War I? During World War I?
It's pre-World War I.
Okay, great.
Come on, man.
Eventually-
1911-ish.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's moved around so much. Is he doing all this in the span of like
Yeah, he's in
18 months? Good
He
Lord.
moves like every 6
actually-
months. So
that's insane.
when he becomes an Army Reserve doctor, he's actually in Arkansas at the time.
And that's the reason we're doing an episode on him is he's just able to teleport.
That's right. That's the
We
big
should
secret.
bury that lead, yeah.
Xenotransplantation is teleportation.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But he eventually accepts an offer to take over an office of another doctor who was moving out of state, and he ends up in where is it? Milford, Kansas.
Ugh.
So
This is now like a mere 20 to 23 years
yeah, so like
before my own grandfather started medical school.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
I can show you the Midwest.
right before he goes back to Milford, though, he finishes up at the Eclectic Medical University.
Yeah.
That was a diploma mill,
Right.
and gets his degree, like, for real this time.
You know what I wish was still a thing? It was
What?
like big in the 90s, maybe before you guys don't even remember it. But it was like a plot to a lot of like 90s teen shows or whatever is quote unquote beach colleges.
Oh, yeah, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I got into this school. I got into college. It's the only one that took me. And then it's like, you find out
It's a
scam
Santa
school.
Monica Pier,
Yeah,
like,
it's a scam
building.
school.
Yeah.
Anyway, this sounds like that.
Yeah, so while he was finishing up his degree, though, he took a job as a doctor for the Swift Company. And he would, like, patch minor wounds and, like, study animal physiology because they were doing, like, meat packing and stuff and animal slaughtering.
Perfect.
He learned there, though, that the strongest of the animals, with the most vigor, were goats.
Doesn't seem accurate in any way.
No, it was. So once he moves to Milford,
You ever fight a goat?
you've never fought a goat.
But you
kick
haven't.
your ass. Do you wonder why you see
I don't-
horny goat weed in all the gas stations around here?
I will say I've been to a fair amount of pettings, like children's pettings, where you give the goats the little bottles, right?
And you stayed away from that goat, didn't you?
I never had the courage to confront the goats, even to appease them.
Why
I
don't you
knew.
appease the goats?
Their weird sideways eyes, I could tell.
They're rectangular pupils.
They're just chewing on some wheat.
Looking at me.
They know you can't fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, he actually builds up a little bit of a reputation in Milford because it's in 1918 and the Spanish flu is happening.
Okay.
So he's like the only idiot that's still going in house, no
Yeah.
mask. Like, yeah, I'll go
good.
check on you. Anyway, so he gets himself a good enough rep. People don't really care that he's had a bad history before, so he's established himself. During this time, he strikes upon the idea of transplanting goat testicles into men.
I was actually going to randomly ask if he was going to like infuse, like do like a goat blood transfusion.
This is what xenotransplantation is. So
Okay.
he, from his time at the Swift Company, watching goats get slaughtered, he's like, I wonder if
These guys die strong.
they die real good.
Yeah.
They die tough. I wonder if that could help men's ball problems. Like that's
Sure.
that's the line.
Yeah, why not?
That's that thin thread
Probably,
connecting
yeah.
this.
It's like a vasectomy where they just fully cut off your nuts and then what, like stitch the
it's worse.
goat
It's
vas deferens onto yours and
yeah. So he
Dodge Ram it's a wonderful vehicle.
the worst
a
part.
ram is a much more powerful animal than a goat.
It's just a bigger goat.
One
I
and the
thought.
same, yeah.
No, a ram's a big asshole motherfucker. Like a goat's like a little like a ram will murder you.
So will a goat.
I don't think so.
So the idea came to him as a joke.
Right.
So the idea came to him when a patient came to him asking if he could fix someone who was sexually weak. Brinkley responded.
Came to him for the other person. I was like, dude, I got this guy.
No, the guy came for his own personal.
Oh, okay. He was
Like,
just
I'm sexually weak.
Listen,
Yeah.
every good bit starts as a joke, and then it just slowly morphs into your personality.
into your full personality.
Brinkley responds to the request by joking that the patient would have no problem if he's like, hey, if you had a couple of those goat glands in you, you'd be great. And the patient then begged Brinkley to try the operation,
Really, doctor?
which Brinkley did for $150. But that's from his biography. So the patient's son actually has another comment in another article in the Kansas City Star that said Brinkley had in fact offered to pay this guy handsomely if he'd go along with the experiment,
Okay,
if he'd
so
guinea pig.
Brinkley wanted to figure out if he could put goat testicles on a human being.
Yeah.
And this guy who said he had a sad wiener, even though he made a kid
Yeah.
before, I assume,
Yeah.
was like, it's not working anymore. Please help me, please.
Right. So
It's like a
Brinkley
fucking-
was like, well, I think option A.
just we put goat nuts in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, sold.
Yeah, that's what everyone's doing in Zurich.
So funny enough, it wasn't uncommon. It wasn't necessarily goats, but animal testicle transplantation was
Okay.
pretty not insane.
Cool.
At the
Goat
time.
doesn't even seem big enough. You'd want like horse or something, right? Like just something real wild.
Yeah.
Wildebeest testicles.
Well, you got to be able to carry them around and not break your sack off.
I disagree.
Okay. You want these are my sack lesions from how heavy my balls are.
Yeah, you want them to be heavy, and it
Nothing's
makes you
manlier.
stronger.
Yeah, that's
What
right.
is it they say? The weight doesn't get lighter, you get stronger.
and the bigger the beanbag, the easier it is to hit the top of the clit
yeah.
with that sack.
Everyone knows that the scrotum is what.
Are you just doing a lot? I guess if you're
You're hitting
doggy,
From, you're hitting
yeah.
from behind, and
and
the
it
balls
just
are just
swings
clapping the clit.
some click clapping knockers, huh?
What I do is I do it missionary, and I'm just rubbing the tip on like the belly button, and the balls are doing the clit work.
Yeah. You put the dick in the belly button and the
Yeah.
balls go in the clit. That's what I learned in sex ed in Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, clearly only one of us has had sex correctly.
Clearly, it's you
I
with
don't
the
remember
baby.
the last time I had missionary sex.
Yeah.
Loser.
Because you're not doing it
Guess
right.
you're trying not to have
only,
a baby.
only one of us is for sure not a virgin.
It's true. So anyway, at the clinic, Brinkley began to perform more operations he claimed would restore male virility and fertility through implanting the testicular glands of goats. The cost was $750 an operation, or about $10,000 now. Following one of his crude operations, basically how it would work is the body of a patient would typically absorb the goat tissue as foreign matter. The goat gonads failed to engraft into the body as they were simply placed within the human male testicle sac. Or sometimes
Unconnected? Like he just put them in?
He just put them in, dude. He just slipped. So you'd be
Jesus
walking around with
Christ.
4 nuts.
So, we put them in with the other.
Yeah,
okay.
he wasn't removing the balls. He was just throwing goat testes
You're getting
into
extra
the
testes.
sack.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no medical, like, there's nothing connecting it.
Little
Just
forward-
osmosis.
yeah. Just basically, like, it being there is going to up your blood serum testosterone somehow.
4-wheel drive, baby.
He would also do this for women in their abdomen near the ovaries, too.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. And
he
he would
would
also,
inject the women with the testicles.
sometimes testicles, but he eventually switched to ovaries as
Goat
well.
ovaries?
Yeah, on top of ovaries.
Did
they're
the
the
women
same
even live?
thing.
Like I understand the man being able to, like, I guess, like figuratively walk away from the surgery. I feel like the woman just dies on the table because he's just cutting her open and shoving parts of an animal into her stomach.
There's actually a little anecdote that comes up pretty soon about what the people are like that have to deal with his post-operation. Yeah.
Please.
So unsurprisingly, in light of his questionable medical training, which is 75% completion at a fucking eclectic medical school, frequency of operating while intoxicated, and using less than sterile operating equipment, some patients suffered from infection.
If he's drunk, he's sterile. Right? Like
Yeah.
he's so soaked in alcohol that he is actually.
He's just pouring moonshine on his bone saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
Right.
like, that's good.
That's fine.
He's a mountain person.
Yeah.
Yeah. This all checks out so far. I don't actually know if there's anything surprising about this
No,
story.
there's nothing.
So, an undetermined number of his patients died. Brinkley would be sued for more than a dozen times for wrongful death between 1930 and 1941. Soon after Brinkley opened up shop, he scored an advertising coup that made major newspapers come calling. The wife of his first goat gland transplantation, so this actually answers your question, Rob, about the kid, gave birth to a baby boy. which he then used to promote goat glands as a cure for not only sterility in men. So the guy that the son
Right.
was like, hey, he actually like fooled my dad.
Yeah.
The guy did get his wife pregnant.
The child sounds ungrateful.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too controversial here, but anti-science?
He's a little anti-science.
He's a little anti-science.
Goat balls go into testicle sac with testicles. Now, baby.
Baby, come out.
Yeah. And you only need it to happen once for it to be scientifically true.
Do we forget what 2 + 2 equals? We forget how to do math here?
Yeah. 4 balls more than 2 balls.
Yeah, he had a hypothesis and he proved it right.
Right.
And why repeat it, right? Why not repeat it, I mean?
This is the type of thing where I'd get angry in math class where I'd get the answer right and then well, you didn't show your work. Well, who the fuck cares?
Well, it's like us going to the moon. We've been there. Why do it again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he starts a whole publicity tour, and he starts making a bunch of money doing these procedures, and it attracts the attention of the American Medical Association, which sent an agent to the clinic to investigate undercover. This is the little anecdote.
Great.
The agent,
bureaucratic tape.
The agent found a woman hobbling around Brinkley's clinic who had been given goat ovaries as a cure for a spinal cord tumor. She was hobbled over, like hopping around. It's like, oh, this is the best, my tumor.
First off, I don't know what ovaries have to do with tumors. He's like,
Oh, he started saying it cured everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Like,
didn't know it
hey,
was
this
just
is
like-
a cure-all. This is a fucking, what is it, like a panacea or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, we got to keep an eye on this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So from then on, Brinkley was on the AMA's radar, including catching the eye of a doctor who would eventually be responsible for his downfall, Morris Fishbein, who made his career exposing medical frauds. So
This was really the era, I feel like, where they cleaned up a lot. Like,
Yeah,
this was when,
this is when
like,
it's-
medicine became modern, probably around the time my grandfather was going into medical school. Like, they had to really
you can
sweep a lot of
hand-wave
bullshit
your
out.
grandfather's quackery all you want.
Yeah.
When the fish man shows up to your doorstep,
You're fucked.
No good.
So at the same time, like I said, other doctors were also experimenting with gland transplantation, including Serge Voronoff, who had become known for grafting monkey testicles into men. In 1920,
Also good testicles.
great testicles.
Also, yeah.
I would take the monkey testicles.
Now, what testicles
I would
you
prefer the
be-
monkey testicles.
What testicles would you be wary of receiving? Where you're like, all right, you're a quack. Like, obviously, this isn't good medicine.
Duck testicles.
I don't think they have testicles.
Exactly.
Well, they
You're
have
a
a-
quack.
they have a giant
Duck
They have a
joke.
corkscrew penis.
corkscrew penis.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on. Maybe not so quackery after all.
Where do I draw the line on my testicles?
Yeah.
Any testicle smaller than your own?
What's a nut too far for you?
Maybe some bee testicles.
Bees don't have them.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
And they explode when they nut. Anything a bee does, it dies.
Just kills them, yeah.
Yeah, like a bee like gives a high five, it fucking dies.
Bees are... What's up with all these animals that are so hard to fucking save, needing to be saved?
I don't fucking
Pandas.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Honestly,
That's the testicles. I don't want panda testicles. They don't work.
they don't. Note the lowest
pandas
of
ever
T's.
tried.
Yeah.
The lowest of T's. They never
They
want to
eat
fuck.
wood. That's it.
I think pandas are God. Just put something here. It's like let's see how far these idiots go to defy evolution.
And the only
Yeah.
reason we save pandas is solely because they're a good logo for the WWF.
It's really easy to do. It's
It is-
also 0 colors.
it is
easy to
because
print.
they're adorable. Like if it wasn't a panda bear, if it was like the shrieking skeleton monkey, no one would be making those two fuck.
No.
No chance.
Yeah.
It's just like a hairless like monkey that looks like a demon, like a gremlin. It's just tight
It's endangered.
skin.
It's like good.
Yeah.
Good.
Kill
Let it
it.
be make it go extinct
like
now.
like all the monkeys look like burn victims, but they're not. That's just how they look.
Yeah,
like a
and they-
baboon's ass. It's its whole body.
and just an eardrum piercing scream as their mating
Yes.
call. Yeah. No, we let that die.
We let that die immediately.
So this is also during the time of medical demonstration for like press and stuff like that. You know, the classic where you see a bunch of people.
Yeah, like the Victorian era. Like we're cutting into the spine. Like it's like a scene from the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, exactly. So in 1920, Voronoff is demonstrating his technique before other doctors and the press in a hospital in Chicago, and Brinkley shows up uninvited. And Brinkley was actually not let in, but his appearance and the fuss he made not being let in elevated the press more, and he got his own demonstration where he transplanted goat testicles into 34 people in a row in front of people.
What? Were they just?
He had an assembly line going. He just did it.
How did he find that many people
It was
that
hot.
needed it?
Dude, the press from him, the one guy getting his wife pregnant, got him insanely popular.
The things we will do for a rad boner.
So
like,
did he have Henry Ford involved in the mix then with the assembly line?
Well, turns out J.R. Brinkley was a Nazi sympathizer, so it wouldn't put past him.
Connecting dots here.
Dude,
Yeah.
J.R. Brinkley, he's doing some stuff the Nazis kind of did. Sewing stuff that didn't belong to other stuff onto him.
Stuff, yeah.
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 How is
setting
how is
precedent.
so much of the first half of 20th century medicine just being like, oh, what if I sew this onto this? Let's see what happens.
That's how far we've come in like 100 years, dude. This is in 1920.
Like, imagine-
This is in 1920.
Yeah.
He's done 34 back-to-back goat testicle implantations.
Imagine you're a chef and your entire thing is like, I'm going to take this hamburger, I'm going to take this sushi,
Stitch
and
it
I'm going to
together.
roll it in a burrito.
Yeah,
And now I made a new thing.
It's called Chopped, Rob.
Yeah, I was about to say, you just opened up an award-winning food truck here in town.
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's literally those are the ingredients they give you for Chopped. And like, all right, make a meal in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, just get out a tortilla, you're good to go.
So in 1922, Brinkley travels to Los Angeles at the invitation of Harry Chandler, the owner of the Los Angeles Times, who challenged Brinkley to transplant goat testicle into one of his editors, which is insane. Like, what? How did that conversation? It's like, hey, Jeff, your quota's down. We're going to forgive you.
I was
If
about to say,
he did it for content.
yep.
The editor was like,
The chase for content is not a new thing. We think we're so original. We think, oh, life is so much different now than it was back in the day.
The content industrial complex has been around much longer than us.
Yep.
so much so that the owner of a newspaper could tell his editor, hey, we're going to have this guy.
He's going to slice open your scrotum.
And he said, basically, if it's successful, I'll make you the most famous surgeon in
does
America.
successful even
It
mean?
means he doesn't die. That's all it has
He
to
can
mean.
just still keep getting the erections he's already getting?
Yeah. That's how important boners are,
Shit
by the
don't
way.
change.
Yeah.
Shit don't change.
So basically, California didn't recognize Brinkley's license, though. So Chandler
libs.
pulls
Typical.
strings. The media pulls some strings and gets him a 30-day permit just to perform this surgery.
Perfect. Right.
Yeah. So the
Like,
operator.
come on. Like,
Yeah.
literally, there are time writers like, come on.
The story's going to be good.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. Just
Let us-
it's
come
one
on.
story.
The guy's volunteering to do it.
Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
It went successfully, meaning he didn't die, and Brinkley received the promised attention from the paper.
But it wasn't like you just got him in.
Yeah.
There was no.
It doesn't matter.
Were they
dude.
like, how do you feel, Steve?
Not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Hollywood film stars, none of note, start going to him as well. Brinkley is so excited.
Name names.
There are no names. It's like none of note. Brinkley was so taken with the city and all the money it was bringing to him in the 30 days he was there that he was going to relocate his clinic. But your boy Fishbein or Fishbein was like, don't do that. Look at all this shit. And California's like, no, fuck this. We're
Yeah.
not bringing this guy in. So he goes back to Milford, Kansas to expand his clinic. But while he's in LA, he takes a tour of a radio station.
Perfect.
And he realizes how cool, because all of his advertisements so far is direct mail and newspaper.
Right.
So he's like, oh, man.
He's like, radio gets
radio.
everybody.
Holy shit. Like, I could advertise on that.
And this is when, what, this is the 20s?
Yeah. So
This is when
was
radio
in
was TV.
22. By the next year in 23, he had enough capital to build KFKB.
So he's a podcaster.
Yes. So I'm sorry. This guy is doing stuff for content and then starts a podcast.
Yes. It's a story of us.
What sort of fucked up time loop is humanity in? Like, this is what do they call it in Westworld?
Oh, the maze or
No, but is it just a loop?
what do you mean the loop?
And I mean,
the loop that they're on, the
Yeah,
story
yeah,
loop.
We have not locked down the dick pills yet.
The narrative.
But it's around
Yeah.
the corner, probably.
I guess. This just makes me like.
It's a potential sponsor.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like, yeah,
Right.
we're no better than this, man.
We're no, of course we're not any better. Instead of putting goat testicles in you, we're putting probably ground up goat testicles in you.
So he starts broadcasting in 1923. Around the same time in 1924, however, the Casey Journal brings down a suit. Someone in St. Louis starts posting scathing reviews of his medical diploma mills, and brings him up into it. And in July 1924, a grand jury in San Francisco hands down 19 indictments to people responsible for either making the fake medical degrees or doctors who received them. Brinkley was one because of him trying to get the medical license. The weirdness around it,
Yeah.
they locked in on it was a red flag. I guess
he was
in California.
famous also.
Yeah, he was big in the country at this time. So, but when agents from California came to arrest Brinkley, the governor of Kansas, Jonathan M. Davis, refused to extradite him because he was making the state too much money. Like he was bringing so much money into the state for people traveling just to get their goat testicles inside of them.
Good tax money.
And he was spending a lot of money in advertising and things like that. So they were like, no, fuck you.
This guy's a huge source of revenue. I mean, it's Kansas. There's nothing happening there. Just letting some guy shove goat testicles into some people's scrotum. It's what you got to do sometimes.
So Brinkley goes to his radio station airwaves and just starts dunking on everybody and dunking on Fishbein as well. He's like, fuck these guys. They're trying to take me down. They're trying. It's a witch hunt.
Yeah, podcast.
It's a witch hunt.
Podcast.
Yeah, right. And his gland business starts making more money than ever. He begins attracting patients from around the globe.
So people are just digging in. They're like, you know what? I want to be the change I want to see in the world. I'm getting goat testicles put in my scrotum. I'm going to let this guy slice my scrotum. I'm going to put testicles in. Fucking government can't tell people what to do. And I'm going to be, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to be the change that I want to see in the world. I'm going to let this guy slice my scrotum open.
This is the man. This man is the monster that the media is trying to paint Joe Rogan as right now.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, so he basically starts creating little pharmacies too that sell his patented treatments and stuff, and he's getting a cut of that. So he's amassing tons and tons of wealth.
This energy drink I bought the other day is proven to burn fat. And then there's a little cross
asterisk.
and asterisk next to it.
Not proven to burn fat.
Yeah, not
supported
proven
by the FDA.
to burn fat.
No
correct.
supplement is substantiated by the FDA, and if it is, it's very
dog
rare.
shit.
Yeah,
You don't
it's not going to do anything.
Just take legal meth. Just get an Adderall prescription.
We're trying. It's hard in Texas.
So Milford, the city, actually benefited as well from all the new ad money. He was able to purchase a new sewage system, sidewalks. He installed electricity in the city. He built a bandstand and apartments for his patients and employees. And he had to build a new post office to handle all of his mail alone. He was named an admiral in the Kansas Navy, which is a hilarious oxymoron.
God, I hate that state.
Yeah.
It's so fucking
And
dumb.
he sponsored the hometown baseball team called, affectionately, the Brinkley Goats.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's because he cut off goat testicles.
Here's another fun story. So he's looking for better credentials. In 1925, he goes to Europe searching for an honorary degree. He gets turned down by everybody except for a university in Pavia, Italy. But Fishbein and Brinkley's former teacher reach out to the place and they're like, hey, you cannot give this guy a fucking degree.
Right.
He is a quack.
He's
Do not
lunatic.
do it.
By the way, what's what level of country would you start to be worried about going to the doctor in? You have to go to the ER.
Well, this is Benito Mussolini's Italy.
Right.
So this one.
That sounds pretty
Yeah.
scary. But even modern Italy, I might be I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say anywhere in super Eastern Europe or
I don't know. A lot of Ukrainian doctors are getting pretty good at trauma.
Getting a lot of practice.
But there's a lot of
Jesus.
guys now going to South American countries or Central American countries to get procedures that the U.S. won't do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
A lot of the stem cell shit in Panama and
Mexico even.
Mexico.
Dude, there was so when I was 10,
Mexico's where they do the Ibogaine shit.
they do that all over South America, and Central.
Yeah.
When I was 10, I went to this island called Saba. It's in I believe it's in the Dutch West Indies. It's a 5-mile island. It's so tiny.
Yeah.
But there is a medical school there where it is mostly American students.
Grenada?
No, it's Saba, but it's similar to that. It's been going on forever. People go out of country to get their medical degree, then come back and get
No, that's a joke. They get you get your medical degree in the Caribbean.
yeah, and then you come back.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a way to get qualified or something. I don't know.
Does it just
Any
let
doctors
you
let us
skip
know.
the line where you you have to take the final test?
I think it's just the MCAT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, you
No,
go.
the MCAT's the entrance exam.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
It's
right.
Their LSAT.
So you'd be more like taking the medical bar.
I don't know if you're a doctor. Let us know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what the medical equivalent
And
of
if
the
you are
bar
a
is.
doctor, don't let us know.
So
If you are a doctor listening to this show, good on you, because you're degrading yourself. You're a doctor.
You're a doctor.
For God's sakes.
Be better than that.
And I mean a medical doctor. If you're a doctor of, something else.
If you're a psychologist, that's even worse.
It is, yeah. Well, unless you're listening to us just to get listen to what fucking 3 idiots sound like. Or you have like a lot of white men going to your practice, and you're like, I need to listen to what idiots listen to.
Well, the Irish are impervious to psychoanalysis.
Absolutely, we are.
That's right.
Freud said that.
Yeah, and he was totally legit.
He didn't even say that. Matt Damon made that up.
Did he really?
I think so. I think it's just that.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Why not?
So Benito Mussolini is actually the person that rescinded his Italian thing. The
Wow.
fucking dictator of Italy.
Say what you want about Mussolini.
Didn't do anything for anybody here. They were just like, oh, okay, he's not an Italian doctor. Fine. So around this time, it's estimated JR was making about $11 million a year in today's money.
Yeah.
So he's rich as fuck. But, however, reports of patients who took Brinkley's suggested treatment started showing up sick at other doctors' offices more and more.
Was it from the rotting goat testicles?
It's
inside
that
their
and all
own
the
bodies?
other. He's selling all sorts of other tonics and shit. Eventually, Merck & Co. Pharmaceuticals, whose medicines Brinkley he was basically routinely misprescribing them, requested that the AMA take action. But they were like, we have no fucking power over this. We don't have enough regulatory power to do anything or stop them.
There's no such thing as regulatory power. It's 1920, whatever. Nobody can do anything.
So eventually, there's enough bad press that the Kansas Medical Board held a formal hearing to decide whether he could practice medicine anymore.
And by practice medicine, you mean cutting people's scrotums open and shoving goat testicles inside of them.
Yes, that.
Yeah,
Right. He had signed death certificates for 42 people at this point, so he's probably killed 42 people.
It sounds...
Yeah. Many of whom were not sick when they showed up to his clinic.
Jesus Christ.
It's unclear how many more Brinkley's patients may have become ill or later died elsewhere. The medical board revoked his license on the official ruling that he was an outright charlatan.
Do you think he told him, like, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you.
This is
Either one of two things is going to touch the sky after I'm done with you. Your dick
or your soul.
or your soul. Yeah.
And knowing men back then, they were probably like, I'll roll that dice.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll roll that dice right now.
Ride.
It's like, where's the button? I'll press it. Yeah. 6 months after losing his medical license, the Federal Radio Commission also refused to renew his station's broadcasting license. So
He was he was canceled.
He was canceled.
Shadow banned.
He was canceled.
Deplatformed, whatever you call it.
Guess what you do when you get deplatformed, boys, in America?
You make your own platform.
You make your own platform. That's right. That's right. It's a
And
tale
we
as
talked
old as
about
time.
this on the Patreon, so get ready for that.
Yeah.
Bigger and better than ever.
So basically, first what he does after losing his medical license, he launches a bid to become the governor of Kansas right off the bat.
Perfect.
So he can make the decisions to make himself,
He's going to pardon himself.
he's going to pardon himself and all this shit.
Also, just make himself a doctor.
Yeah, and also funnel whatever money he can back into himself.
Right.
And
It's like how a Latin American dictator is like calls themselves like general and admiral and all that shit.
Well, they're on the front lines, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has like 6 months left of his radio station before it expires. So he's like just blasting this campaign, like, vote for me, yada, yada. His campaign was conducted as an independent write-in candidate because he waited to declare his candidacy until after the ballots were printed. 3 days before the election, though, the Kansas Attorney General, who had prosecuted Brinkley before the medical board, announced that the rules surrounding write-in candidates had changed. And that the doctor's name...
Stolen election.
Yes, this is where we get to that. The doctor's name could only be written in one specific way for the vote to count, as J.R. Brinkley. As a write-in candidate, he received almost 30% of the votes and lost to Harry Hines Woodring. But an article published at the time in the Des Moines Register estimated that between 30,000 and 50,000 ballots were disqualified. Later, Woodring would admit that had those votes been counted, Brinkley would have won. He would have won.
That's a stolen election.
He got the election stolen.
Yeah, no, he
But
actually had the election.
That's a true stolen election.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane to me. Like if anyone had a right to say, that election's stolen, it's literally the thing they made up 3 days before the election happened.
That's the tough thing, unlike the last election, which was not stolen. But that's the tough thing where it's like, obviously, the man who made his livelihood slicing open scrotums to put goat testicles inside of human scrotums and then sewing those scrotums back up and saying, good luck with your boners. That man was not qualified and should have been like legitimately held back from being the governor of Kansas. However, there are still severe ethical issues with how that was gone about.
Right. No, and it's
Like it almost would have been less more ethical to just kill him.
right. And it's also, it brings up an interesting point about repeating lies enough on media, broadcast media.
Right.
People buy it. Eventually, you say the same shit enough,
Right.
it just soaks into your fucking head.
This guy was like insane, but I don't think he was insane. I think he was in full control of himself. Like he was just a huge liar.
He was dude, he's betting on himself.
Up his own ass, just a big liar.
No, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
Isn't that like that's a fucking hilarious ethical question?
Right.
Like this person should absolutely, and this isn't like coming on Trump or anything like that. This is totally different. Donald Trump is Abraham Lincoln compared to this guy. There is like, this guy should not be in charge of anything.
Yeah.
Like you have to stop that from happening.
So that's what they did.
But what's the ethical way to stop that from happening? It's probably not changing the rules 3 days before the election.
That's the least transparent way to do that.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. So he did have an election stolen from him. He ran again and lost legitimately this time. But then, so he's done in Kansas. He sells KFKB to an insurance company, and he moves to Del Rio, Texas, just across a bridge from Mexico, where he could operate a high-power radio station with impunity. Because in Mexico, basically when they were dividing up all of the radio signals of North America, Canada and the USA got to split them all up. Mexico didn't get shit.
Right.
So they have their own radio frequencies. They just broadcast that. And it's like, well, if you're close to us, tough shit, you're going to hear it.
Right.
So they're like, they see this guy come and they're like, yeah, dude, you can buy a station from us.
He's
we
not
don't give
poor.
No, he's rich as shit. He's making $11 million a year.
Yeah.
So
Shoving goat nuts. By the way, goat nuts don't cost that much.
they're cheap as fuck.
Goats, they fuck a lot. They're good to go.
So they give him a 50,000 watt radio license, and he begins building these 300-foot towers in Mexico, known as border blasters, so people could hear them across the border. Mexican radio is a pretty common term. Damn, I'm sure you're familiar with it. Though his signal had been revoked in Kansas, his signal was so strong that it could be heard in Kansas still. And then in 1932, the Mexican government loved him so much, they decided to increase his wattage to 150,000 watts. Then several months later, Brinkley was allowed to increase to 1 million watts, making his radio station far and away the most powerful radio station on the planet.
Hell yeah.
So on a clear night, his radio broadcast could be heard in Canada from Mexico. According to accounts of the time, the signal was so strong that it turned on car headlights, made bed springs hum, and caused broadcasts to bleed into telephone conversations in other states. Local residents claim to not need a radio in Del Rio, Texas, to hear Brinkley Station. Ranchers claim they could receive it through the metal in their fences and in their fillings.
Good Lord.
It was the strongest radio station ever on the planet.
So it was just so strong that it would just show up in their brains?
They just hear it in their heads.
Too close to metal, you're just like, go!
No, you'd either hear it in the metal, or if you had metal in your teeth and shit, you'd hear it in your head.
That's horrifying.
So he just continued to do the medical advice kind of stuff. Male listeners were offered an array of expensive concoctions. At the clinic and the hotel where he lived in Del Rio, he also performed prostate operations. He also began selling airtime to other advertisers at $26,300 an hour in today's value, giving rise to new hucksters shilling products. So he's getting a cut of that. One was called
he's rubber stamping whatever they're selling.
Crazy Water Crystals, genuine simulated diamonds, life insurance, and an array of religious paraphernalia.
Sounds like a Mike Malloy situation there.
Yeah.
Life insurance was real fast and loose back then.
Yeah, but more Timothy Dexter. He's got kind of his claws and everything.
Yeah.
He also began to pack the radio station with up-and-coming country and roots singers, getting it more popular. Helped launch Palsy Montana, Red Foley, Gene Autry, Jamie Rogers, the Carter family, the Pickard family, and others. He became known as, he created, Hillbilly Hollywood. He was getting a lot of these country people off the ground.
Sick.
It's insane.
Godfather of country music.
So eventually the U.S. starts talking to Mexico, we got to stop this.
Right.
You're fucking our shit up with this stuff. So they decided to shut it all down. And by 1934, Mexico revoked Brinkley's broadcast license. The Mexican army actually had to show up at his doorstep to shut him down.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He continued to perform operations in Texas at his practice and shifted from, I don't know.
The same operation?
No, he stopped doing that. He switched to vasectomies and prostate rejuvenations.
You got to pivot every now and then.
You're going to need to go into more detail on the prostate rejuvenation. Because that sounds like a vibrator.
I'm pretty sure it was
on a stick.
I think it was that with like an enema.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was doing electric stuff earlier, right? So
yeah.
Is it like a vibrator with the little taser?
I don't have
just a finger attachment.
Yeah.
By 1936, he had enough wealth to build a mansion for himself and his wife on 16 acres.
He had already had that wealth.
Yeah, totally. You can still go see this house in Del Rio. It's the Brinkley Mansion.
Okay.
It is
the mansion that goat testicles built.
Yeah, basically the house that balls built. He surrounded it he filled the mansion with a dozen Cadillacs, a foaming fountain garden surrounded by 8,000 bushes, exotic animals imported from the Galapagos Islands, and a swimming pool with a 10-foot diving board. He continued living high in Del Rio until 1938, when a rival doctor began cutting into his business. Basically,
who cares?
Yeah, it didn't matter.
How old was he at this point?
He was born in 85. 85, so 15 plus 38.
He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
60s. 50s. Whatever. Who cares?
So
basically, he's made but the more important thing is he's made millions. He doesn't have to do anything anymore.
Yeah, but the problem is Fishbein starts entering the picture again and publishing this 2-part series that's just ripping him apart. Mm-hmm. Brinkley makes the ultimate mistake. He sues Fishbein for libel and $250,000 in damages, which is about $4.6 million in current value.
But that implies discovery.
Yep. So the trial begins on March 22nd of 1939. In a matter of a few days, a jury finds Fishbein right, stating that Brinkley should be considered a charlatan and a quack in the ordinary, well-understood meaning of the words. The jury verdict then...
He's a witch.
...unshields him from everything he can get sued for.
Right.
So he gets a barrage of lawsuits by some estimates well over $3 million in total value at that time.
Right.
So that's way more than he has. Because we're talking like hundreds of thousands, equivalent to $11 million. So around this time, too, the Internal Revenue Service begins investigating him for tax fraud because they're like, well, this guy's got a lot of fucking money. What the hell?
Yeah, where's those taxes?
He, as quickly as he became wealthy and powerful, he declares bankruptcy in 1941. The same year, the U.S. and Mexico reached an agreement on allocating radio bandwidth, and they fully shut down all of the X stations. Soon after his bankruptcy, the U.S. Post Office Department began investigating him for mail fraud, and Brinkley became a patient himself for the first time. A patient himself for the first time, not a doctor.
Okay.
He suffered 3 heart attacks and had one of his legs amputated due to poor circulation. And then shortly after...
what I would have done is just put some goat testicles in my leg. Slice
it's weird. It's weird how he didn't do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like
he was the patient. It wasn't the doctor. It wasn't his call.
Do it yourself.
If you're a good enough doctor.
There's a Soviet or something. Have you seen that meme on some of the history meme sites where, like, I think it's a Soviet doctor who was stuck at in Antarctica, had to perform gallbladder surgery on himself?
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah, really. No, there's pictures of it, too.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did he get to anesthetize himself a little bit?
I think maybe local a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you couldn't because you have to know what you're doing.
Right.
You can't just be asleep.
Yeah.
He's so good, he did it in his sleep.
Right.
That'd be great. He died May 26, 1942, penniless and of heart failure in San Antonio, Texas.
To a real one.
R.I.P. to an American hero.
Yeah.
He died during World War II, so that counts as dying in World War II.
Yeah, he just made it.
Yeah.
He actually,
statistic.
one thing I forgot to write down, he was sent over for World War I, and he just faked a nervous breakdown, and they sent him back a month later.
Oh.
Yeah.
He should have rubbed some goat testicles on his brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the story of John Romulus Brinkley, the goat.
Yeah.
What'd you guys learn?
That medicine was a lie until 1933. I'll just call it. Like, medicine wasn't real.
Pretty much pre-World War II, medicine was
fake.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, it's fake.
Yeah, I mean, there were people doing things right.
Yeah.
There were people doing things very wrong.
And again, this is where it comes into. So
I wouldn't necessarily call him a doctor or medicine. I would just say he's a content creator, and he is all about content.
He's a medical influencer.
He was the original influencer.
One thing I definitely learned today is when, and I've been doing this lately where I like kind of crap on people to the right more than the left, and I don't mean to do that, but like the modern libertarian kind of takes regulations for granted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's the elevator argument. It's like, well, if they have a bad elevator, don't do business in
Yeah,
that building.
the
It's like, that's
elevator-
not how it works. You
Right.
can't wait for people to die
Right.
to make sure things are going to work. Like, they need to be checked on.
There's a certain amount. Yeah, like there's this.
And there's a pendulum swing on the other side of that where things can be overregulated. And I want to
yeah.
acknowledge that 1,000%. As someone that's doing our taxes right now,
Yeah.
the fact for what we made on this show, the amount of work it's taking to get the taxes done on
Right,
it,
and the amount
is
that's going to get taken from us for making like really no money.
yeah, like we essentially fucking barely broke. Like we barely. I'm not going to get into it, but like the amount of shit
It's
we have.
absurd that one dime is being taken from us,
Right.
For how little it is,
Right, exactly. But it's because of like assholes
Absurd,
like
any
this.
penny is taken from any
Yeah.
American citizen. Okay,
If I want-
taxation is theft.
Yeah, no, that's
If I want a
right.
pothole filled, I'll get a sack of my own quarters and dump it into that pothole.
I'll pull myself up on my bootstraps and I'll go put it in.
Yeah, cops should have to do bake sales.
But
if they
there
want
is
money.
there is like a serious like regulation privilege.
Oh, for
with
sure.
Living in modern times that a
Yeah.
lot of people just kind of forget about. And I am of the opinion, yeah, like with taxes and all that stuff, like it's like there's overregulation and blah blah blah, a million things like that, 100%. But like we live at this like baseline that people forget. Like, oh, that is a very recent baseline.
Oh yeah, it's not something that's been around for a long time.
Right.
And when you see people start ripping back regulations, you're like, okay, like maybe that helps one person.
It's just something
Yeah.
that people now take as common sense, but it wasn't common sense very long ago. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
That's what I learned.
Yeah, that and like you learn that hey, being deplatformed and switching platforms and making your own radio station isn't new. That's
Yeah.
not a fucking
It's way more
groundbreaking.
profitable too.
Now those regulations, fuck those regulations. Beat his bad ideas with a good idea. Because it shouldn't be that hard to convince people to not shove goat testicles into their scrotums. And if they do let someone put goat testicles into their scrotums, well, that is sort of a modern natural selection.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's also it's on them. It's
yeah,
like
that is on them. I agree.
whenever people kind of like
And-
whenever people go after like any type of media now where they're just like, oh, you're not smart enough to make up a decision, anything you hear on a podcast, anything you hear from the news, you're not smart enough to make up your mind whether or not that's true.
Right.
I will say I do think that algorithmically there does become a problem though. Like I said before, these people were just hearing shit over and over and over again because that was the radio station, right? So it kind of seeped into their
Well,
heads.
the radio says it.
Yeah, and
The new electric truth box keeps telling me.
to vote for this guy. Who's telling me that? Oh, him. Well, he's on the radio.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like there is an argument to be made that like, okay, I get it. The algorithm's going to feed you what you want to see. But also if you're doing your own independent research, you keep getting fed the same bullshit algorithm. You can't get
Right.
trapped in a knowledge loop there.
Right.
Like there's a fine line there. But I do agree with you that people by and large should be allowed to make their own fucking decisions on the content they consume.
And,
And
also,
again-
don't make any health decisions based off
On a
like,
fucking podcast. What the
podcast,
fuck are you
right.
doing? Yeah.
You're insane if you do that.
Don't go to a doctor, listen to them, like get other sources of
If
information
you
too.
want to like hear something, like if you hear something on a podcast and you're like, that's interesting, I'll ask my doctor about it. Or I'll do a little research from other doctors.
Yeah, like anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's kind of an interesting part of this story too, is like the AMA really couldn't do anything because most of the things that Fishbein was writing in were medical journals.
Right.
What doctors read those.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't really trust doctors anymore either.
Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is like you have a peer-reviewed journal versus a guy who has just carte blanche ability to say whatever he wants on the radio.
Yeah.
That information is not disseminated the same way.
Right.
So that creates a problem as well. But
Last time I actually went to the doctor, she's like, have you heard of David Goggins?
really? Yeah. That's crazy. That's kind of awesome.
She's like, why don't you just will yourself to health?
Did she really say that?
More or less, yes.
Yeah, that's insane.
She could tell he was receptive, like just from the look.
Yeah, she saw the beard.
Yeah, she was like, he'd be receptive to this.
You listen to JRE, bro?
She did. She asked me that.
Yeah. That's amazing. But yeah, all right. Who's Hitler?
Regulations.
Not
I think
Benito Mussolini?
No, it's the fish man.
Fishbein?
Yeah, he brought him down.
Because he was a quack.
He was penniless because of the fish man.
He was rich because he was lying. But whose fault is that?
He was living the American dream. He's
You know,
going from
it's kinda-
city to
What's the
city.
level of lying? That's a great question, actually, is like, what's the level of lying that is you're allowed to make money on?
Well,
it
you
becomes-
can't make false medical claims.
Why?
Before someone has to intervene.
I don't know. That's a much bigger
Because
question than you think it is.
where does the responsibility go
from the person making the lie to the person believing it?
Yeah. Where does it cross over?
Believe in the lie.
That's a tricky one, Rob. That's not a
It's a fun. That's a fun question.
that's a case by case kind of thing.
That's
I
a
think
fun question.
it is a fun question.
I say it's always on the people believing the lie and join my new religion. I don't feel bad for Scientologists at all. Fuck
No.
it. Let's go.
no, not with the evidence that's out now.
Right.
Maybe the first
Way more
couple
credible than any other religion.
It's got the word. I follow the science. And I followed it all the way to
Believe
Scientology.
all science, yeah.
Dude, how is that not their slogan?
ones. Believe the science.
Follow the science. Believe the science. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason you have to pay a lot just to get to the Xenu
Yeah.
story.
Science ain't free.
Yeah, it's true. It costs money to make science happen.
Yeah. That's another thing they should say, like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you don't have to pay for us? Was NASA free? Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, Scientology.
Scientology.
Yeah.
That's their new ad campaign. It's like a trendy billboard. It's Scientology.
They really, I don't know how they haven't done follow
Why
the
are
science
we giving
yet.
this away for free?
Oh, that's a good
I
question.
don't know. It's a great question.
Well, speaking of that, be sure to check out our
We
Patreon.
will.
Wait, hold on. What's your price for, how much would you have to get paid to know that your dope new campaign slogan would get a lot of people to join Scientology?
How much would I have
how
to?
much
that
might-
question is confusing.
Well, like
Yeah,
the
what are you
ethical,
asking?
what's the amount of money
Oh.
where you could
Like, we're the
ignore the
PR
ethics of getting people
like,
into Scientology?
yeah,
So we're the PR company for Scientology.
Right.
We
What's
have-
the number? What's the number they lay on the table where they're like, yeah, slaves serve Tom Cruise, but
$100.
Dude, yeah. I was about to say it's kind of low. Like, one, the effort in Scientology was pretty low to begin with.
I don't care about others at all.
I know you don't.
That's a pretty common trait of sociopaths.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You're
not a
what is your
sociopath.
point?
You're not a sociopath. That's the funny
No,
part.
because I don't care about myself enough.
No, that's not it either. I've seen you do things that make you show empathy.
I gave a homeless man $10 this weekend out front of Barb's, and I was rewarded by almost getting shot on 36th.
That's inaccurate. You were 2 blocks away from where the shots were fired.
Either way, I heard the pop, 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 and I saw a sea of people run towards me. So
That's why I don't go.
They're
dirty
running
anymore.
past you.
Anyway, enough's enough. Go to patreon.com/softcore history to check out
No,
our
softcore, right?
it's softcore history.
Softcore history.
softcore history.
Well, it's patreon.com/softcore history. It might be softcore-history. I don't know.
Sure, you'll find
I don't
it.
know what the fucking
Just
link
Google
is.
Patreon
to
softcore
our-
history.
Or
and-
just go to Patreon and search softcore history. You'll
That'll
find
work
it.
too.
Yeah, so $5 a month. We got new stuff coming out every week.
It's
You guys
really,
are gonna
really
love
funny.
it.
We got
Like,
the game
it's
show
really,
out.
really,
we got
really
the mailbag
good.
out.
Yeah.
We're going to have more content
We were
coming out.
dying laughing at the shit we made so far.
Really enjoyable. Check out softcorehistory.com. Check out our merch. Buy some stuff. We got a lot of cool videos
Wearing
coming
a
from
Topsy shirt right
Too
now.
Irish to die.
Two Irish to Die shirt.
Shout out for that.
Yeah, Dan's
Topsy shirt.
got the Topsy shirt on. We got a bunch of new snapbacks. We got the Unity, the Unabomber
Unabomber
t-shirt.
hoodie.
Got a bunch of stuff out there, so please check it out. And then please, as always, listen because you already are. So get other people to listen. Leave
Tell
a
people
review.
about it.
Hit the like button. Like and subscribe. 5 stars, all that shit. But for Rob Fox and Dan Rochester, I'm Jake Goldman.
You just got soft served.